Hi there, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us for today's APMG webinar in partnership with OBM Dynamics and Haren Publishing. My name's Mark Constable. I'll be your host and moderator, and I'm joined by guest presenters Joost Kerkhoffs and Robert Den Bruder from OBM Dynamics. Today we'll be introducing you to what many call the science of success, and that's the science of organizational behavior management, or OBM for short. During the session, we'll be looking at the fundamentals of OBM, what it is and how it works, and a bit of history. And we'll also be looking at how individuals can develop capability in the subject in order to exploit the many benefits that effective OBM has to offer. You're in good hands for today's webinars. Both Joost and Robert are veterans of OBM, having been involved in teaching and supporting OBM implementations for many years. And together they founded OBM Dynamics with the aim of developing and distributing educational products for OBM. So before I hand things over to Joost and Robert, bear with me while I cover a few logistical points for the session. So the first point to note is the session is being recorded, and everyone that's registered will receive a follow-up email from us soon after the webinar's conclusion, as soon as we've got the recording online. And secondly, you have an opportunity to submit questions at any stage throughout the session. We do encourage that. We do encourage the interaction. So if you have any questions at any stage, type them into your control panel where you should see the questions option. I'll be keeping an eye on those as we go, and we'll try and address as many of those as we can towards the end. Something that isn't on screen, but do be aware of, is we've got a couple of polls for the session. So we'll warn you when those are coming up, and it'd be great if you could complete those for us, because that will help with part of the presentation. And last but not least, we welcome feedback on our webinars. So positive or negative, that any feedback helps us to plan and deliver webinars in the future. So feel free to send that in too. Okay, that's the scene set. And I believe Joost will be taking us through the first part. So welcome, Joost, and over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mark, and welcome everyone to the presentation. I will be guiding you through the organizational part of the presentation, while my partner Robert will give you some insights on what OBM actually is. So I'll do a general overview, and he'll do a more in-depth overview. So yeah, what is OBM? Well, actually, as Mark mentioned, it's an acronym for Organizational Behavior Management, and it is a part of management science, and maybe not that well known in some parts of the world. It originates from North America, from the US, where it's quite popular and often referred to as performance management, but the scientific term is OBM, and it's a science. It's a science of human behavior applied in business environments. Originally, it was based on applied behavior analysis as a broader science, but as a subset, OBM is aimed at improving performances in business environments, yeah, through the power of applied behavior analysis. It is not new. It may be new for some of you, but it has been around since the 70s of the last century already, and has been spreading worldwide quite slowly but surely, and has rooted itself in the Netherlands, at least also for about 20 years already. Its focus is to improve employee engagement and achieve desired business outcomes. So what we're looking for is environmental modifications, and the introduction of performance feedback and reinforcement systems. Of course, there are some other methodologies that do similar things, but yeah, the key aspect is in the reinforcement part, and Robert will probably dive into that as well. So there's a science part from the behavior aspect, but there's also a management science aspect in which a 7-step protocol for performance intervention has been developed over the last few decades. And this protocol really helps people to really give it a hands-on feeling on what they're doing. So it's a really helpful step-by-step approach for designing and implementing organizational behavior change programs in order to improve business performance. So yeah, we have written a small white paper, OBM in 3 minutes, which is available on our website, which will talk you through more of the details. To spare bandwidth, I'll switch off my camera now, so you'll be more able to focus on the slides. Let's see. Okay, so who's it for? Well, you could say everybody who wants to influence other people to help them perform better. So it could be a lot of people actually, but it is about improving performance of a team, a process, a department, or a company as a whole. That's what it's aimed at. And what I often, how I refer to it is that maybe you're the conductor of a symphony orchestra or the director of a movie, and you want to have influence on who's playing with you. So who wants to play along? How do you get people to play in your movie and do their parts effectively? So it's about influence, creating influence, and yeah, get people to show the behaviors needed for improving that particular performance that you're aiming for. So it's a big target group. It includes leaders, managers, influencers at every organizational level. But we also train a lot of consultants in Lean, Lean Six Sigma, Agile, etc., etc. So consultants, but also business relationship managers, project managers, coaches. I've seen many people taking an interest in OBM, and all have this feeling that okay, they want to achieve something. But they need others to reach that particular goal. And how do you get them to play on your team and play according to the rules that are set and to achieve the things that are needed? So it's quite a big target group. And yeah, it could be within your organization or outside. Maybe a little joke that I tell to my delegates for my trainings. Yes, you can also use it at home. So yes, you can use it to improve behavior of children and other members of the family, because it is all about the principles, some even call it the laws of human behavior. And when we better understand what these principles are and know how to shape behavior, then we can start seeing wonderful stuff. And it can be applied in many fields. It's been called performance management. Yeah, all types of performances can be targeted, but also process improvement. What to think of adherence of particular processes or procedures or work instructions. When you come to think of it, a lot of these things all have to do with the behaviors that people show or do not show. So yeah, also in safety, behavior-based safety is also quite interesting part and type of application. I got to be involved in many of those projects as well to improve safety culture, but also measurably improve. So it's all about the evidence-based approach that we're offering also. Of course, also with risk and security, whether it's real life or IT based, agile DevOps transformations, and so on and so on. So what we like to think of is to see OBM as sort of a plug-in, or maybe an upsell if you look at it from our side. A lot of these types of applications could benefit from a practical and proven behavioral change approach. And often they are mentioned in programs that aim to improve a process or aim to improve safety or security. But yeah, they really lack the actual tools for it. So OBM is a much sought after plugin, so to speak, for dealing with the behavioral aspects and the culture part. So yeah, that being said, there was a reason why Robert and I started with OBM Dynamics. As Mark mentioned, we're veterans in the field from a trainers and consultants perspective. But well, because we are well aware of what's going on in organizations and have been asked to assist in many changes, we also noticed that there seems to be going something wrong with the average change program. So as Mark already mentioned, yeah, we'll start a poll here to see how many of you have seen organizational change initiatives or been part of it, and how many of you have experienced that it failed to achieve all the objectives of the business case, or even part of it. It was just not, yeah, it didn't quite get there. It didn't make the organization really change and attain its goals. So we're quite interested to learn how many of you also experienced that. And I'm presented with the poll myself also. I see here, but I can't seem to answer it myself, but it's blocking my screen right now.
Yeah, the poll, we'll leave the poll there for a couple more moments. Joost,
yeah.
I can see we've got nearly 80% of votes in so far.
Okay, so. Great. Yeah, so maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but after this one there will be a follow-up question with another poll for the people who have experienced it.
Yeah, let's. I think I'll close that one down now. So do you want the results of that one first?
Yeah, let's have a look at it.
So let's close that one, and it's a resounding yes.
Okay. Yeah, so which is even more than some of the research is showing. Maybe the more official research. I'll get to that point after a bit. But let's first see the second poll.
Yeah, thanks, Osh. That's on screen now. So
yeah,
was behaviour a determining factor in the failed change initiative? So we've got yes and no there, but we've also put don't know, not applicable, because you know, for some you might not be close enough to the project.
And let's look at that from the perspective that people realize, ooh, they're not doing it yet. We kindly asked and introduced a lot of stuff, but they're not doing it. And that's why it failed, because people didn't adopt it or started doing it, or maybe they stopped doing it after a while already.
Okay, so let's close that second one there and share the results. So there you have it. 71% say yes, it was a determining factor.
Yeah, that's kind of like what the research also tells us. So when we have a look at the data from several sources, we see that about 70% of change programs fail to meet most or all of the objectives from the business case. And the interesting part is that behavior is always in the top 3 reasons of the failure. Like I mentioned, that they're not doing it, or they stop doing it after a short while. Maybe up until the point that the external consultant was there, and after he left, and the manager of the team got interested in other stuff, flavor of the month maybe, then it started declining, and it got back to normal, quote quote. But yeah, it's not the new normal that the organization was looking for. So that's quite frustrating also, because there you have a lot of time and money spent on change, but it's waste. It's waste. And what we see that modern methodologies like the ones I already mentioned, but some of them are here as well, they all acknowledge that behavior is an important part of the change, but they do not have the actual tools or the scientifically validated approach to measurably change behavior and create new productive habits. And that's where OBM steps in. And it was an important reason for us, for Robert and I, to start OBM Dynamics, because we saw this happening. But another reason was that we see that certification in OBM was only available at higher levels of education. You had to have at least a bachelor's degree to enter into a university program, and there are quite a bit around in the US, Canada, Australia. I heard a lot of colleges offer education, but you have to have a higher education. And we thought, well, that's all nice, very nice, but yeah, there are a lot of people who can benefit from the exact same knowledge and are struggling with the fact that they are promoted to leader or manager, but really have a background in something technical, or just are superior in content, but not in leading others and getting others to behave in a way that is functional or productive. So that's why we came up with the idea to join hands with APMG International and started designing a program and materials for educating people in OBM without having the bachelor degree necessarily. It's nice to have one, and you can of course join our program as well, but it's not necessary. And it's really from our mission that we're doing this. We saw the power of OBM. We've seen it work, and we want to make the world a better workplace through the power of positive reinforcement. And what that really means, what positive reinforcement means, is something that Robert can tell you more about in his part. Which may start right now, actually. So, Robert, over to you. What is OBM, to be more specific and in depth?
All right. So, hi everybody. My name is Robert den Broeder. And I will take over for now. Let me see if I can start the presentation. We have prepared a video scribe animation. So, Joost, could you please start this? The key button, the button should be somewhere here. It's in the slide.
Yeah, it is already started.
Yeah, here it is. Thanks. So we've prepared this animation that will guide you through the major components of organizational behavior management as we see it. Because it's a worldwide applied management framework, basically, or an approach to behavioral change. And as Joost already pointed out, we need to improve performance. And well, then let's have a look how OBM can assist you with that performance improvement. And from our perspective, we have 4 so-called building blocks or areas of focus that we need to address when we want to change performance. Oh, I was afraid that it was going to happen. Could you please restart this one, Joost? Yeah, thanks. Scroll it a little bit forward. Perfect. Yeah, maybe I could ask you to pause it after all the 4 building blocks are on screen. So the first building block is performance. The second building block is that we have learned as functions of behavior, something that we call the ABC model, and of course the OBM protocol, which Joost already. Ja, je moet precies op dat dingetje klikken.
Yeah, I know. It's it's a bit.
Okay. Press play, and now press pause.
That happens because it disappears. So I'm afraid it will keep happening.
All right. So okay. So if you're trying to improve organizational behavior or organizational performance, or you want to do something with culture, attitude, behavior, then these are the 4 things that you have to have on the radar. First is that you have to have a very clear definition of the performance which you would like to improve. And that means that you have to understand the concept of performance. And luckily, the way we use the word performance or the concept of performance is identical to as it is used in Lean or Lean Six Sigma. So I'll show you in a minute. Then behavior is always functional, which means that somebody who emits the behavior or shows the behavior or displays the behavior has a specific aim in mind. And there's 4 functions of behavior, and those functions are very critical that you understand what the function of the behavior is if you want to influence it. The ABC model we use to analyze behavior as we see it. And because behavior is part of the performance definition, the ABC model helps us understand why we see behavior or why we do not see specific behavior. And the OBM protocol already was explained by Joost, is a 7-step protocol that we use to improve performance in a step-by-step approach. So if you could move the mouse around and then press the play button again, yeah, all right, thanks. So effectively combining those building blocks, those areas of attention will improve your organizational performance. Well, to understand performance, please understand that performance as we use it, and as it is used in Lean, is about a unit that is about results and behavior in a very specific organizational context. And this organizational context is continuously changing. Therefore, we must continuously adapt to change. And if the context changes, please press pause again, if you can. If the organizational context change, then you will always see a change in behavior. And we see it now with the COVID pandemic. Suddenly there is a virus that could be lethal. And if you are not dying from it, then you still could have serious health risks and health issues caused by this infection. So what we see is that the environment externally changes and that we need to respond to that. And the response is a change in behavior. Let's say that 2 years ago, nobody was wearing a face mask, nobody was applying social distancing. And currently we do. We wear face masks when we are in public places. We apply social distancing to decrease the chance of infection. And all kinds of rules are applied on the entire country. We shut down, we go in lockdown, we close shops and shopping malls, stuff like that. So everything is done to deal with the pandemic. And the actual key issue is that we need a change in behavior. And what we also see is that even with the pandemic at the doorstep, we still see people who actually comply with the rules. And there's a number of people that simply don't comply. And we can use OBM intervention techniques to understand why these people don't comply. Then, if you can start, please, Joost. The second building block is the function of behavior. So behavior serves a function for the performer. So the person who emits the behavior has a certain aim in mind. And there's 4 functions, and sometimes functions can be combined. So there's multiple functions in single behavior. The first function is that the behavior produces attention. So that basically is a social consequence, that we need attention from others to get things done. Could you please stop it, Joost?
No.
Perfect. Bijna goed. Een beetje terug. Yeah, perfect, perfect. So the first one is attention, and attention is a social consequence. You need others to do something for you or to help you something, or to provide simple attention as a biological function, where you see that attention is something that people need. And specifically during the COVID pandemic, we see that we have to work from home. One of the first things that we lose from that is attention from other people in the form of that you touch each other and that you see each other, look each other in the eye, and that you can actually experience other people's presence. And if you lack attention, then all kinds of mental issues can arise from that. So people need attention, and we have learned how to get it. Another function is that we have learned to escape from things that we don't like or that we don't want to happen, or that we would like to stop from happening or stop from continuing. And then the function of the behavior is what we call escape. Much of our behavior, or many of our behaviors, are aimed to have access to tangibles or preferred items. That could be something like an iPad or an iPhone or a computer, or it could be things that you collect or things that you want. It could be digital computer points or lives that you have in your computer games. Those are not tangible, but preferred items that people are aiming for. So what you see is that the behavior is aimed at getting access to tangibles or the preferred items. And if you don't get the access that you want, all kinds of emotions arise, and people will try different ways to still get the tangibles or the preferred items. And they might even try ways that you as an influencer or as a leader could consider to be illegal, dangerous, or unwanted in any other way. So that if you understand that the function is to get the tangibles, then you can try to rearrange the environment and to provide other means and other ways that the performer emits the safe ways or the legal ways or the desired ways to get those tangibles. And biological sensory stimulation we see when, for instance, you have a reflex like coughing or scratching your arm or other reflexes that we can observe, like the patellar reflex. And basically, there's a reflex and we see observable behavior. and the behavior basically serves a biological function. But in organizations, we mainly see the first three functions applied. Joost, could you please restart this animation?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, perfect. Let it run, please. All right. So the third building block is the ABC model. And the ABC model helps us to understand why we see behavior. And basically, the ABC model shows that there is all kinds of stimuli available in the environment before the behavior, and there is stimuli that will have changed in the environment after the behavior. And please stop the animation. All right.
It's better if you do it.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I can try, but so here we have it. The ABC model is also referred to as the triple contingency, which basically means that both the A, B, and C are related somehow. And the A is short for antecedent, and the B is short for behavior, and C is short for consequences. And what we see is that the behavior can be influenced by antecedents, so things that are present or available before the behavior occurs. And what we see is that behavior has all kinds of effects for the performer, which we refer to as consequences. And if you make an environmental analysis, basically you look at antecedents that might trigger behavior or might inadvertently block behaviors. So then you can modify the environment and make it easier to emit the right behaviors, but also you can change the environment by adding consequences which are produced by behaviors. So that we'll look for adding consequences in an intentional way. And what we see from science is that behavior is a function of its consequences. So the consequences are the main factor in modifying behavior and therefore in organizational context modifying performance. So what we look for is that what will happen to a performer when they emit desired behavior, or what will happen to a performer if they emit unwanted behavior. And what we see is that both the wanted and unwanted behavior has all kinds of consequences. And when you analyze those consequences, you will probably find that even unwanted behaviors produce positive, immediate, certain consequences for the performer. So that is, for instance, why we still have what we call COVID parties, because people that go to such a party will experience positive, immediate, certain social consequences, which they have been deprived from for a long period of time, which makes those social consequences very valuable to the people, and which makes them ignore the risks of getting infection. So they choose to have an immediate, certain positive social consequence over the risk, which is uncertain, of getting sick by a COVID virus. So immediate consequences outweigh the future uncertain consequences. And by analysis of the environment using this model, we can see simply a point to environmental conditions that either trigger the behavior or block the behavior that you're looking for. Okay, could you please start, and then we can move to building block number 4, which is the protocol, and then you can run it. Let it run from here. The OBM protocol is a 7-step protocol which has been devised in practice, and it's 7 steps, and we go through each of the steps. And the first step is pinpoint, we measure, we analyze, and so on. So the first step is that we pinpoint performance. That means that we have to be very specific about results we want more of and behaviors that produce the results. So there should be a cause-effect relationship. And what we have also learned is that pinpointing is the most difficult part of your intervention. Then the next step is that we collect data about the performance. So we have data on the results, and we have data about the behaviors in terms of frequency, duration, intensity, the levels of desired behavior versus undesired behavior. We can measure. That's the only thing that we do with the behavior. We measure it. Then we analyze the performance together with the performers. So we use ABC analysis techniques, where we simply pinpoint the behavior or look for the behavior that we have pinpointed and identify antecedents and consequences. Then we provide performance feedback, and in the ideal situation, the performer creates his own feedback by self-measurement. But if that's not enabled, then we try to create performance feedback, which helps the performer to improve performance. And based on the feedback and on the measurement and on the analysis, we start setting goals. And the goals can be divided in sub-goals. And each of the sub-goals achieved will bring you closer to your end goal. And the idea is each goal that you achieve brings you closer to the end goal. And then, of course, you may have to celebrate goal attainment or goal achievement. And when we focus on the behavior, we're looking for positive reinforcement, which basically means that we add meaningful, positive social consequences in most cases to the desired behavior. So attaining the goal is important, but it's also important that you have a good look at the way the goal is attained, so the behaviors. And then the data can be analyzed, we can evaluate, and we come to a conclusion. Okay, what was going well and what needs improvement in the next cycle. So that shows you that the step-by-step improvement process, basically, or protocol, helps you to go through each step before you go into the next. So you cannot improve if you don't have a clear identified result or a number of results that you want to have, and you don't have a clear identified behaviors. And then once you have done that, then you can start measuring, then you can start analyzing, and so on. You provide feedback on the desired behaviors and intervene on unwanted behaviors or problem behaviors. So, and then, yeah, that's why we have created a training around those 4 building blocks. So understanding what performance actually is, understanding the functions of the behavior, how to apply the ABC analysis and consequence analysis that goes with it, and of course, how to apply this 7-step protocol. All right, that's what my part was for today. So, Joost, please go back to you.
Robert.
Can you take over?
Yeah. How do we function as an organization? OBM Dynamics is there for a reason, and it's not to train others in how to use it, but mainly to train instructors. So we have, as mentioned before, we have an educational program which takes part of content development. We've shown you a little bit of that content, well, at least the building blocks, and we have made an entire educational program around that. So we have trainings at different levels, starting with the foundation training and so on. And from our point of view, it's about creating enough people with the same knowledge who can start sharing that knowledge in their own business or as a trainer, as an instructor. So we have a trainee instructor program. We've also written some books published by Haren Publishing. And the reason for having this webinar together with APMG and Haren is the fact that finally the English translation of our textbook for our foundation program is ready. It was ready in May for the Dutch version, but now we have finally seen the English version published, so now we can really start conquering the world, so to speak. And we do that with books, but also with software, which we co-develop with some of our partners. So yeah, that's what we mainly do. We have this educational content development program for others to use. We also have the certification program with APMG International. They take care of the exams of our foundation level, which is active already, and already dozens of people are taking classes with some of our partners, and have taken the exam already. But after they have certified themselves for foundation level, they can also go for the application level training and certification. The foundation part is where you get all the knowledge, all the theory and all the concepts. And with the application level training, you start using it in one of your own performance issues, really. So you can start applying it in real life at a pilot case where you start learning how to really apply it along with the use of a coach. And after that, you can also still become an expert at a certain part of your field of expertise, your knowledge. Let's say you're a project manager or a service manager, then you can really start applying OBM in your particular field and become an expert in the combination of those two methodologies. So we have content, we have exams, but as mentioned, it's not up to us, it's up to our partners, which we are contracting even as we speak. We're in negotiations with several parties worldwide in becoming partners to have some of their people trained as an instructor and start delivering trainings and coaching worldwide in combination with the fact that they will be an accredited training organization or individual trainer with APMG International. So this is a bit about the how we're doing it. So we shared why we're doing this and what we're doing and how we're doing it. But maybe you also have questions yourself. We still have like 10 to 15 minutes left. Mark, could you take over from here to
Absolutely, yes, yeah. Thanks very much, guys. Great timing as well. That gives us a bit of time for questions. And I'm going to start with one. This might be a tricky one because I guess it varies per organisation and per OBM project, I guess. But what type of behaviour is causing change initiatives to fail?
Well, that's interesting. It can be all types of behavior, but in terms of the success rates of the change initiative, it's all about people start showing the new behaviors that are needed to get to the point where you can say, hey, we are effectively a new organization, we have a new culture in which we are more productive, more quality oriented, we are safer, we are more sustainable. And these are big concepts. They're all big concepts, but the tricky part, as Robert pointed out, is to be very specific in what you want people to actually do to be able to tell that you're more productive. So it's all about your job, really, and it depends. If you're on a reach truck or if you're an order picker And if you want to be more productive, then you do other stuff, you show other behaviors than when you're on the phone at a service desk. But initiatives fail because we only use a lot of antecedents to tell or ask people to do things the other way, like be agile or anything like that. But that's not necessarily what people are seeking. They are seeking reinforcement from the way they are doing things right now. So it's about changing habits of what they are used to doing right now into more effective behaviors that are really productive in terms of the targets. So of course, it all depends, but it starts with really good pinpointing why change is needed and what the actual behaviors are that are needed to reach that goal. And the simple answer would be that people aren't doing what is asked or required in terms of their jobs.
May I weigh in, Joost?
Yeah, sure.
Because another fail factor is not only the behavior at the shop floor, but from my perspective and in my opinion, it's also the leadership behavior that needs to change as well. So we need a different kind of leadership, and we call it facilitating leadership, or what's the other word I'm looking for? Servant leadership. Oh, yeah. And we, of course, we need to help leaders to show, okay, what kind of behaviors do they need to show more often? So it's like a cascading model. At the very top of the organization, people need to change. Then the mid-level management needs to change, and then supervisors need to change. And then the supervisors influence the behavior on the shop floor, where the actual value has been created or will be created. So it's not just a single behavior of a person on the shop floor that refuses to do what should be done, but it's also change of behavior in all levels of the organizations. So that is something that I would like to add.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Yeah, good. Any more questions,
Great.
Mark?
Yeah, thank you, guys. Yeah, there's a few I'm seeing sort of comparing or asking what the difference is between the OBM and change management. So I'm gonna give you two questions because they're both closely related. So the first one is how is the OBM suite different from the project management and change management suites? As our questioner sees some overlap. And the second part is change management is about getting people to adopt new ways of working to achieve benefits desired from change initiatives. How would you say OBM compares with the practice of change management?
Well, the first one is that the OBM specifically targets the behavior part of performance. So first we need to have a very clear performance target. What kind of results do we want to see more of? And then what kind of behaviors will cause those results? So the pinpointing part, be very specific about behaviors. That's where we stand out, I think. Or you could, but let me rephrase that and make it less aggressive. That's where we can help other practices. So as Joost already told at the beginning of this presentation, it's not competing with other practices. We would like to have it, OBM as a plug-in or a addition to organizational change management. So it's about analyzing the behavior and understanding the function of the behavior, and be very specific in your responses to the desired behavior and the undesired behavior. And that's where the leadership comes in. And if you make the errors there, then you probably inadvertently trigger more undesired behavior, or you might inadvertently block the desired behavior. So it's really the behavioral focus which we would like to add to organizational change initiatives or organizational change frameworks or project management frameworks for that matter.
Yeah, if I may add to that, for me, I have a background in organizational science, so I've seen my fair part of theories and methodologies. But what really stands out with regard to OBM is that we really pinpoint behaviors. A lot of change approaches and change management approaches think they are talking about behavior, while in fact they are not. They are talking about values, generalities, attitudes, or static conditions. And these are not behaviors. We see a lot of initiative striving for things like, okay, we want people to become more proactive and take ownership, for instance. Who doesn't recognize that? I mean, a lot of companies are talking about, oh, we want our people to become more proactive and take ownership. But I dare you to ask, please show it to me. What does that look like? What is the actual behavior that you are showing so I can compliment you on doing it? Because as Robert showed, the main part about organizational change is that you have to experience positive consequences. If you don't experience positive consequences, then the behavior will unlikely reoccur. So if you can be specific about behavior and actually catch people doing it, because you are aware that they are, you are observing them in doing it, then you can link positive consequences. And the thing that we didn't mention before is that we make use of a very nice neurological process also, which produces dopamine. And it's really the dopamine that keeps you going. If you can create dopamine as a hormone, as a neurotransmitter, then you are likely to increase that behavior again. And you can also make sure that it happens, or well, at least increase the probability that it happens as an influencer by making new ways of working or adopting things that they haven't done before, and make it a positive consequence for people. So yeah, those are the things that really are different from other approaches. Other approaches are really about changing systems, changing processes, being active on the antecedent part before the behavior takes place. Our special place in this world is where we are specialized in changing the consequences for people and by creating that dopamine effect. So that's my part in answering this question.
Great, thank you guys. I think we'll do one more question, and that will take us nicely into the wrap up. So I think this is a good question. What is the rate of success of OBM in your experience?
That's a fair question. Well, it's like one of my clients told me last week. He actually took part in a global implementation with a big pharmaceutical company, and he told me, Joost, the fact that what struck me most is that the people who really applied the protocol step by step, they were more successful than just the people who did something like it or similar. Or so it may sound like it's very technocratic at some point, but yeah, we find that if you stick to the theory and stick to the steps, stick to the protocol, then you have a fair chance of success. And also that is, of course, influenced by a lot of stuff that you have no influence on. I mean, I've seen things with OBM go down the drain because something happened that I had no influence on. So OBM, just to mention the fine print from our approach, it is a way of increasing your influence, but please be aware that you don't always have influence. So
yeah, it's not a silver bullet.
No. But it will show you what the principles or even laws of nature from behavior, what they are and how you can apply them. And if you do so, you are more effective than when you do other stuff. So it all depends. That's not the answer that you're looking for probably, but now we've seen our fair share of successes and also some failures, but those were mostly because of things that were out of our hands and out of our control. Okay.
Great. Well, thank you very much, guys. We've got a few minutes to take care of wrap up. So, and we've got a few further slides, haven't we? So if I ask you to go to the next one, Joost, then I'll cover off the final few slides as we close off. So we've got a special offer for everyone that's joined us today. So Joost has already mentioned the publication that you can see on screen there. It's available in English and Dutch, available in print and in ebooks format. And we've got a special code there for you to get 25% off that publication. So if you are interested, do head to the Van Haren store. You can see the vanharen.store link there. Just head there, pop in that discount, and that should get you the discount for you. So what's next, Joost? What's next? So yeah, that's just if you want to find out a bit more information about your webinar host. So I'm representing APMG International today on the left there, and obviously Joost and Robert from sorry, that's not OBM Dynamics, that's the OBM Foundation. So that's the course and certification. So if you're at the APMG website, you'll find that there. And I think the next slide is where we've got that's OBM Dynamics. That's better. So yeah, if you want to find out a bit more about what Joost and Robert are up to, that's the place to find it, obmdynamics.nl. And you can find various bits of information there. So whether it's the course and certification, if you're looking to become a partner with OBM Dynamics or an instructor, you can find out everything on their website. And what's next? I think this is the final bit. So yeah, if you and I've seen a couple of questions as well asking about the presentation slides and recording. We will be sending a follow-up email as soon as we've got the recording online, and that will, amongst other things, include a copy of this this white paper. So it's kind of summary paper of what we discussed today, and it could be useful for you guys to share with other folks in your networks. So I think that's it, isn't it? Yeah, that brings us to a close. So no problem at all, guys. And yeah, thank you to everyone, really. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending, taking time out of busy schedules to join us. It's very much appreciated, and I hope you've found it useful and informative, and we've whetted your appetite to find out a little bit more. And of course, last but by no means least, thank you to Joost and Robert for your insights and expertise today.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Thank you for having us.
No problem at all. So thanks again, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.
See you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.